Yeah, no, it's a very interesting game, and I think what is interesting is that Pirates, they had gone for a winless streak. I think it stretched 4 to 5 matches, but the win, especially a comeback win against a team like Sekhukhune, should give them a bit of confidence coming to this game, and then also with Chiefs as well, because had they won against Stellenbosch, it would have meant that I think they would have won 3 games in a row, but it's something that has not happened now. But I think for me, it's going to be a very interesting game, this one, to see how Keegan Dolly in particular, we saw against the Stellenbosch. I thought they devised a good game plan in terms of try to close him, but not just trying to close him only. At some stage, I saw Keegan, because Keegan has these moves that he comes with and tries to play those short interpasses. So what Stellenbosch did well, they closed the passing lanes, which was very interesting for me. And or even if Keegan puts in those short passes, especially the through pass, you could see there was no follow up from Chiefs in a similar way where Bernard Parker scored a brace against the SuperSport United. But I think it's just more than that. It's just more than that. And I think for especially for a player like Keegan as well, to come to the Derby just on the eve of returning to a national team camp. Very important national team camp, I have to say, because this also will decide if we go through to the next stage of the World Cup qualifiers. It comes at a critical stage for him. And when I look at how Paris plays, I do feel that Keegan could have more freedom, or he could have at least better freedom than he had against Stellenbosch. So it's up to him how to utilize that. But it's not just him only, because there was a stage where Chiefs was more reliant on Nukovic that other season when they were chasing the league title. And then last season it was a total different case altogether. So they must also focus on not getting more reliant on Keegan as well, because it could also have a negative effect on his game. So for me, that is going to be very interesting. But also, I'm interested to see how Stewart now is going to form his defense, especially when you look at how after they've lost Ashanti. I heard that he landed badly at training, which has now affected him, and he could be out for months, which is so unfortunate. Also so unfortunate to the coach Hugo Bruce as well, who was looking at his experience, especially against Ghana. For someone who's played at the AFCON and also played very well against Mo Salah at the AFCON. So what does he do now? Does he bring back a Frosler at left back, who's more of a right-footed, and maybe does he go for Mabiliso, proper left-footed? More, maybe the coach sees him more as a left-wing back, but for me, he is better suited to a game against Paris, because it's also going to be a running game, which is not more than just about defending. So that's going to be very interesting. And at centre back as well, does he continue with that leaky defense of Matoho and Cardoso as well? When you had also seen previously that the previous combination that was there was really not that leaking, you could see it also at some stage they also had some clean sheets as well. So for me, this becomes very interesting in terms of how is he going to decide. I mean, on SABC this week we spoke to the national team coach, and he clearly said that Jabulo Ngcobo is not a central midfielder. So when are we going to see him playing as the centre back, where he was voted as the defender of the season? Could this be the right moment? Will the coach go for that? Because it's clear at Bafana, if you see, they've brought back Tibang Pete, they've brought back Yaya Stolle as well. I think there's got Tabani Zuke as well. So Ngcobo is not going to play as a central midfielder there anymore. He's been picked as a defender. So, but I'm also interested to see Pirates as well, because I think this game against Sekhukhune, it was for the first time they scored more than one goal. Can they continue with that? And in the absence of maybe their strikers finding their goal-scoring boots, are they going to rely more also on other attackers? We saw the special goal coming from Dlamini, So I think there's just a lot to look forward to. I think that question is, I'm sure when we went to the El Clasico, we were saying the same thing about the El Clasico, because the El Clasico is not the same without Ronaldo and Messi. And I think it's all about evolvement. Football, just like in politics, we saw in these elections what is happening. I guess just it's a nature of life that things are not going to be the same all the time, but it becomes a challenge when it's happening season in, season out, where now the derby comes across as being meaningless, because the giants of local football are not in the top half of the top 8. So that's why I'm hoping that in the second round we could be talking about a different derby than this one. Yes, it's still a derby, because these are the two teams who constitute close to 70%, if not almost 70% of the football support in the country. So there's always gonna be interest, but sometimes you hope that the interest can be meaningful, that we are fighting for the league title. But yes, still less than 10 games played. Maybe not the neutrals, but those who are invested in this derby will be looking like, no, it's still a result that we're looking for. But I think for the neutrals, those who want to see, I was looking at the Bafana squad, not a single player from Orlando Pirates. You don't want something like that. You don't want something like that. This is a big team, that you always want to see, not dominating only on the field, but also seeing their players influencing the national team, especially for a team that is also playing in the CAF Confederation Cup, because they've got players already in used to those conditions who can influence the national team. But also, especially with Paris, you cannot take away the fact that they are without key players. When you count the players that are out for Orlando Pirates, that's the spine. The number one goalkeeper of Ghana is injured. Pule is injured. Former football of the season, Lodge, is injured. Their captain is injured. You can go on and on and on and on. I think the midfield is going to be key. And unfortunately, Pirates, they carry the advantage in the midfield. They are spoiled for choice in the midfield. But how the technical team use that midfield effectively will be key in this game. But I do feel that Pirates, in terms of their attack and in terms of the pace, because it's been proven, we saw it even with Stellenbosch, we saw it with the other teams. If you come with pace in that Chiefs defense, you've got their number.